Real estate today offers incredible opportunities, low prices, and extremely low interest rates. Hi, I'm Amy Norris from Amy Sells the Beach. Right now, there are opportunities in all areas. Our team can help you put your money to work finding your dream or investment property. And if you're looking to sell, no one can give you better exposure to buyers and make your property stand out. Experience matters when looking for opportunity. I'm Amy Norris. See why we're #1 at amysellsthebeach.com.
Come experience Nolan's. Savor award-winning steaks, Greek-style cuisine, fresh local seafood, and an extensive choice of wines. Whether you'd like to reserve the large private dining room, enjoy a meal on an outdoor deck, or rock the night away in our lounge, Nolan's, now celebrating 25 years of exceeding your expectations for casual fine dining, live entertainment, and dancing nightly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. On today's show, we're going to be discussing one very important key principle to success, and that is doing what you love. So many people today are out there existing in a job that they dislike. And really one of the keys to success is finding out what you're very passionate about and then figuring out how to make that your monetary living. In fact, many people read motivational books, go to seminars, and they're looking for keys on how to stay motivated or how to motivate others. But if you think about the word motivation, it's really derived from the word motive. So without strong motive or passion, it's going to be nearly impossible to stay motivated and especially motivate others. Today we're going to be hearing a very inspiring story from a woman who has had an amazing journey and has found success in doing what she loves. We have entrepreneur and best-selling author Dean Meador Smith is on the show. Fantastic lady. We're also going to be joined by my dear friend, real estate guru Amy Norris is going to be giving us some tips on the real estate market. And then we'll be joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Margot Bush. We have an amazing show. Tuesdays with Dan starts now. Welcome. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Margot Bush. Margot, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Have you done anything fun lately, or how's life been?
No, I just got back from Lafayette, went down there and or over there and
you did some
spoke
speaking?
at a seminar, women's seminar over there, and so yeah.
I hear that the talks you gave were just amazing.
Well, nah.
She called me. She's like, I'm speaking more than I thought I was going to be speaking. So do you have any talks that I could give?
Yeah.
That are ready to go?
It was only supposed to be two
try
or
this one and that one.
Yes.
But I heard that things went really well.
Yes, they went really, really good, and so it was good.
Well, and with our guest, tonight that we have, I know that you've been to
Yes.
to the bed and breakfast.
Yes,
and,
loved it.
I'm very happy to have her because we went down. I'm not from the South, but we went down to Hattiesburg, and we got to see this place. I mean, it looks like Abraham Lincoln grew up here.
Yes.
It was built in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And she's obviously a very successful entrepreneur, best-selling author. But before we get to our guest, I wanted to bring out our dear friend Amy Norris, who's going to tell us what's going on in the real estate. So please welcome Amy Norris.
Hey, how are you? Hey, Dan.
Amy, how are you? Great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
Thanks for coming by. I know that
Absolutely.
you bless us with your presence frequently on the show, and you kind of tell us, what's going on in the housing market. So many people out there are holding on to different assets. They don't know if they should buy. They don't know if they should sell. And I know you have your thumb on the pulse all the time. But what tricks do you have? What do you got up your sleeve for us?
Okay.
Give our viewers some comfort.
Yes, it is a great time if you're a buyer or a seller. If you're a buyer, the interest rates are still low, like 3.5% for a 30-year fixed. You can get a condo with about 25% down. If you're a new homeowner, you might want to ask a lender about a USDA loan with 0 down or FHA loan, which is with 3% down.
Wow.
Yep. And also, the great news for sellers is that the market is heating up. So a buyer, if you're on the fence, now's the time. You don't want to wait much longer. And it really does depend on the different neighborhoods. So
sure.
Find the area that you want. What we're finding now, that the first-time home buyers are the Generation Y, and they're your IT professionals, your Facebook, social media people, healthcare. And they're very scared, you know. They've seen our generation and the generation before make and lose a lot of money in real estate. But overall, there's been a 3.5% gain in real estate every year, appreciation, like from 1980 to 2009.
Yeah.
So it's a very secure investment, you know, overall.
Yeah, so even though that might have these ups and downs, like, let's say, like the market, the long-term trend, we could say,
yes,
is still a very viable option, part-time,
yes,
full-time, and to sell by. You know, it's interesting that you mention that because I know that certain areas are affected more than others. I know that I have a lot of friends and family in the Southern California area, and they've said, you know, a year ago they were saying, it is just dead out here and nothing's happening. You know, everybody's holding on to their stuff because there's so much fear. I talked to them the other day and they said, it is really booming here. So even in areas that were really affected by the financial crisis in 08, things are really looking good all over.
They are, and what you have to think about is in 30 years, if you're a renter or a buyer, wouldn't you rather have a paid-off house? Wouldn't you rather have, you know, $2,500 or $1,000 extra a month? There is a security of eventually you would have it paid off. So that's that for, you know, the buyers in the market. And then for sellers, just a couple quick tips on improvements. If you're a seller with a wooden house down here where we have a lot of termites, right, your house is going to be very hard to sell. The good news is if you get hardy board on the exterior, you can have a 103% return on investment.
Wow.
So that's huge.
It's a big ROI. And hardy board's not a really steep investment.
No, it's a good one, and it's a lot easier to care for. And then the other quick tip I would say is the trend that we're seeing is if you only have one bathroom, you know, and it's a big one, obviously it's nice to have that jetted tub and the big shower, but if you can only have one, more people are opting for the big shower.
Really?
Yep. And if you are going to spend money on renovations, you might even be better off if your home doesn't have a lot of bathrooms on adding a bathroom, because that could increase the overall home's value to like 8.7%.
Wow. Well, I know that so many people rent and they're maybe afraid of not being able to qualify to buy their own home. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of different programs and different assistance out there. But if you're in that position, don't wait too much longer. That's what you're saying, because things are turning around. Well, that's great news. Thank you so much for stopping by. And thank you very much. Come back and see us if you would. Let us know what's happening. And please help me welcome our guest tonight, Dean Meador-Smith, everybody. Dean, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Now, Dean, I'm really excited about having you on because, as you know, about a year ago, I came down, and I don't think I'd ever been into Hattiesburg, Mississippi, I have to say. I went through it a few times,
right.
But we stopped by, and I was really taken back by your establishment. In fact, if you remember, there was a few of us sitting. I kind of wandered off and down by the lake. I just kind of had to see it.
Yeah, you walked the fields.
I did.
Yeah.
I took off. But before we get into what you're doing now, you've had a very exciting and colorful background. In fact, when I do seminars, I highlight certain people over history, like I think of like a Leonardo da Vinci that's lived 7 or 8 different lives into a 67-year span.
So are you saying that I'm old?
No, you're not.
Okay.
But what I am saying is, I think of you as an example of somebody that has really used their time wisely, because you've accomplished so many things. I know that you were an English teacher a music teacher. You had, obviously, you're a best-selling author. You had your Master's of Arts degree in teaching of language. Is that right? And I mean, you at one time even performed as Maria in The Sound of Music.
Right.
So you've done all these things. How have some of these experiences led you into your new, the ventures that you're doing now?
Well, Dan, I really think that you are what you experience or what you have experienced. And all of those things that have happened to me in my old age and all the things that have come about, it really has made me to the person that I am right now. I grew up living on the hill. I was surrounded by an extended family that I loved. My grandfather told me stories every day, and he told me the same stories every day. So I experienced storytelling, writing, the English, you know, when I was a part of that, I got into that writing part. On the other side, my family, I was surrounded by cooks who loved to cook. My grandmother was the cafeteria director of the schools in Hattiesburg for over 35 years. So every day there was menu planning, there were recipes that you had to find, there were planning special occasions around food. And so I was surrounded by that. I experienced that. And so I grew up learning how to cook and all of those kind of things. 25 years ago, I wrote that first book and felt like, hey, I can write a cookbook.
Right, right. Well, and you know, the bed and breakfast is kind of a new thing. I know you've opened a bed and breakfast, but the tea room, I guess we would call it, it was built first in, was it the 1800s?
Well,
or the cabin, let's say.
The cabin, yes. The cabin was built in 1884.
Right.
And that's what makes it unique. Again, when you're trying to, you talked about living with passion, and when you're trying to do a success story, you need to find something that is unique, that nobody else has and everything. And I was given this treasure of an 1884 log cabin. So I was able to make it into a tea room and then also a bed and breakfast.
Right. Well, and it certainly is a treasure, because when you go out there and you take in the landscape and you look out, it seems like a paradise for somebody to really sit down and, you know, be inspired to write or to do many of the other things that you've done. So let's talk a little bit about opening the bed and breakfast at the Meador homestead. You already have so many things going on, and actually I found some of your books here. Wrestling with Rejection from Job, and Finding Rest in Difficult Times. The Advent Jesse Tree. This book really, well, all of them have done very well. The Lenten Tree, and then we got Mississippi.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Mississippi.
Well, that was my first cookbook, and that was the Tea Rooms cookbook.
Right.
And of course, again, you have to find, whatever your product is, you have to find that uniqueness in it. So again, I opened it up a tea room because the trend to drink tea was coming back. We had originally been a tea drinking country, and then of course, you know, Boston Tea Party, that we all started drinking coffee. But anyway, so the trend to drink tea was coming back, and there weren't any tea rooms in Mississippi, or very few tea rooms in Mississippi. And so that came about to start the tea room, and of course that cookbook, Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's very unique.
Well, and now these tea rooms, I find out, are popping up all over the place, and actually yours is voted the best in the state of Mississippi. And I've actually been down and tried some of the food, and it almost has the feel of somebody like, you know, Abe Lincoln stayed there.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that really neat feel to it, but it's actually got a lot of the comforts of them. And you go a lot farther than just, you know, a tea room, because you really get involved with somebody comes, that you get involved with the scheduling, to where if they want to have more of a private thing, or if they want to do a big to-do, you help organize everything.
Right, yeah.
So.
It's just kind of like a one-man show.
Yeah.
Or one-woman show.
A one-woman show.
Yeah.
Well, and tell us a little bit about the idea of the new cookbook.
Well, I guess I can just say that I had all of these treasures that were brought to me when my grandfather gave me the cabin in the late 70s. Again, I told you through my experience that I love the land. I love the stories he had told me. You have to be open for anything that can happen. And I don't know if you remember this, our little conversation, but I had just finished writing a history about the family.
Right.
And I was going to write a play, being in plays and things like that. I was going to write a play about the history of Hattiesburg. And I was sitting out on the land, and I was praying. I don't know how you pray, but usually my prayers are popcorn prayers. You know, they pop up and pop down. Help me, I need this, that, you know. And I don't really extend my prayers.
Sure.
But this particular day, I spent a good part of the morning just talking to God and saying, you know, I'm willing to do whatever you want me to do.
Wow.
And I got in my car. I felt really good. I said, you know, whatever you're going to bring forth in my life,
Sure.
I'm going to go with it. And I got in my car and started driving home. You remember the story. I got a call on my cell phone.
Yeah,
Okay, now
I
I'm a
remember
grandma, and I'm one of those grandmas that are not computer savvy,
Right.
not phone savvy or anything, and nobody calls my cell phone. Well, this strange man called me, and his name was
Very strange.
Dan, right here. And he said, I'm Dan, I'm with Indigo River Publishing Company.
Yeah.
And he said, I am interested. We've been looking at the city of Hattiesburg. We came across your log cabin. We're very interested in writing a history of your cabin.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Sure, and what was interesting is we were actually, because many of you know I invest in other companies, and a guy I was mentoring, Adam, who you know very well, I was mentoring several years ago, and his passion was to write, and so I thought, okay, well, let me help you get started in this publishing company that he runs. And we were actually looking at a business down in your neck of the woods, and for some reason, something pulled us onto your site, and I got to reading this story about your cabin, and I said, what is this? Yeah. You know, and I started talking about it, and ironically, a couple of weeks before, we had a discussion about writing a book that was rich in Southern history, which is really what I like about your book, because it's not just a traditional cookbook, but there's a lot of Southern history, and so it was kind of ironic, but when I called,
yeah, it was just so amazing, because here I had just finished writing the history, basically, of the family, of the story of Hattiesburg, I guess you could say, and got this call, and a couple of days later, 4 good-looking men came up at the homestead, and the rest is history. So, but that's why it was really special, because, again, you have to dare to dream in something that maybe you don't even know what's going to happen.
That's right. Well, in the book here, what I really like about the book, obviously you see the cover here, Mama Dean's Southern Cooking at Meador Homestead. And again, what I like about the book, and by the way, this food is, the recipes in this book are absolutely unbelievable.
They are.
But what I really like about the book
there.
is there's a lot more than just recipes. It's really, you know, you have these amazing recipes, but there's a lot of, you even put like some of your guests and stuff, some of the great events that you've had. It goes back and it tells a lot of the stories about what was happening over a period of time to the cabin. And it has, of course, even the story about the alligator on your property.
Right.
And it's just a really comforting thing. I mean, look at them cinnamon rolls. Tell me if you wouldn't want them cinnamon rolls. Amazing. But and from what I understand, these books are kind of flying off the shelves.
We're really doing good. People, we live in a want society. People don't just buy what they need, but they buy what they want.
Right.
And like when you said, when you came to the homestead, you just felt this peace. You know, when people come, they love food. They love Southern food. They love easy food.
Yeah.
They love things planned out. We have 25 spreads. 25 menus, and then along with each menu there's a story, and another thing people want is they want to reconnect with something in their past.
Right.
So when you come to Meador Homestead, when you open up and you read a story about why this food is so important, it's because it's like they're going home to grandma's.
Right.
When I was coming here, there was a billboard on the highway, and it said, like eating at grandma's. That's exactly the way this cookbook is. That's what makes it unique, and what staying at the bed and breakfast make it, you feel like you're going home.
Well, and on the beginning of the show, you mentioned something interesting, because we talked about you know, a real crucial part of success is, you know, doing what you love. And I know that, you know, you kind of believe in like the 4 F's, which is like family, friends, faith, and food.
Food, yeah.
Right? And that's such a large, so many people, you know, they might focus on the financial aspect of success, but they forget about, you know, joy and you know, they forget about having family, and, you know, they forget to sometimes put their faith first. But really, success, in my opinion, it encompasses at least 4 or 5 things. You know, financial freedom might be one of them, but then you have, you know, your family and your faith and your friends and all these other things that really bring you real joy in life. And you certainly have been a great example of having a real success story.
Well, one thing that you said at the very beginning, and I think what this whole segment is about today, is live with your passion.
Right.
It's so ironic you said that, because I just recently gave my 3 daughters a necklace, and on one side it says live with passion, and on the other side it says the sky's the limit. And if anybody wants to have success in whatever goal they're going to do, whether it's making olive oil from Sicily or whatever,
Right.
you know, whatever they want to do, they have to live passionately with that.
Right.
They have to think of that, whatever their goal is.
Yeah, and so many children think that way. You know, when you ask a small child, what do you want to do? I want to work for NASA, or I want to be a fireman, or they think, you know, in those terms about passion. And then sometimes we get a little burnout as adults and say, get real, kid, that's never going to happen. You got to get a real job.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate, because if we were more like children and we thought, really followed our heart sometimes, yes, it's a little bit of a leap of faith, following what you love, but they say, obviously, if you don't, you know, if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life.
Right.
And there's so many people out there working for a living because they don't enjoy what they do. So you, again, you've had so much success in such a big array of life, not just the financial success that you've had. So Dean, paint us a picture. If somebody was going to come out and stay at the bed and breakfast, tell us a little bit about what types of things they can expect pulling up to your cabin.
Well, again, the picture is like you're going home. It really is like you're going home to Grandma's, and you're going to find good food. It's almost like a home away from home, you know, and you can go in. It's bed and breakfast people are so totally different from hotel people.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but they really do take care of everything. You know, there's a lot of valuable, wonderful antiques there, and things that one of the oldest piece of furniture in the cabin is an 1856 bed that my great-great-great-grandfather made for my great-great-great-grandmother for their wedding present.
Yeah.
And so they're going to find these wonderful things, you know, that will bring back memories to them, a home away from home.
Yeah.
That you can't
Well, I
find
saw
in
in the
a
book
hotel.
too, it says where life is still good.
Right.
And there's so many places. Those are hard to find these days.
Yeah.
Find those spots. And I've actually have obviously a lot of friends that are writers and other entrepreneurs, and I've actually recommended several to go down. And I know a few have actually come stayed for their anniversary or whatever, and they tell me, man, thank you so much for recommending. You wouldn't think, you know, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, is but they're like, that was the greatest recommend, because,
thank
you know, just being able to sit there in the serenity of, you know, the gardens there and just take in that, it really helps kind of reset you
Right.
to where we have to go back to life and, you know,
Right.
back to the grind.
Someone said, we drink tea
Yeah.
to escape from the noise of the world.
Yeah.
And so it's not only drinking tea, but when you go back to a place like that, when you get away from, people want to de-stress. People want to get
Yeah.
away from the busyness of their lives. And so it's like you are getting away from the noise of the
That's
world.
right. That's right. Well, and so if people want to, we're going to put actually your website and information. If people want to stay at the cabin, we're going to give them, so you can go to our website, and we'll give you more information on that. But let me ask you a question. You know, obviously we're a business show, and many people are watching, and they're thinking maybe they've been in a job or they've been doing something that they don't really like, and they're at that place where they're thinking about maybe taking the leap of faith and following their passion, or maybe they've had this great vision for many years, but they're actually at the point of saying, you know, they have fear, and should I follow my dreams, or should I, what if life gets worse? We've all kind of been there.
Right.
Any advice to to the
Oh,
entrepreneur
boy.
out there looking to follow their passion?
Well, I have like those secrets of success, and again, you know, dare to dream.
Yep.
Rely on the experiences that you have. In other words, like set your, you know, have common sense,
Yeah.
and say, well, is this dream attainable? Can I reach that?
Yeah,
Right.
is it possible? I know you say also discover the need for uniqueness
Yes,
in your
yes.
idea. Don't be like everybody else.
Right, right. And there's 100 million hotels.
That's right.
There's 100, even more cookbooks, you know. There's so many, so what makes it unique? What makes it unique is an 1884 log cabin that nobody else has. What makes the cookbook unique? Again, they can go back to their senses and remember their families by reading those
Right.
stories, by having everything kind of set for them in seasonal spreads. That's what makes it unique. And then I guess what I'd say at the very end is just, you know, do those success things. Don't take no for an answer.
Right.
Work hard, and just like the Nike commercial, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, dare to dream
Yeah.
and just step out on that.
Well, and don't wait for all the how you're going to do
Right.
it and how am I going to, just get started, the how will come.
25 years ago, I had no clue, when I wrote my first book, I had no clue how I was going to sell it, what was going to happen. But I knew my target audience. I knew what people wanted.
Right.
As a young mother, I wanted a devotional book that would teach my children the real meaning of Christmas. I knew that, and so I was passionate about
Yep.
it. I got it out, and it became Amazon's #1 bestseller. It still is at Christmas time.
Wow.
For a Christmas devotional book for children. But it was because I dreamed that dream, and I didn't take no for an answer,
Yeah.
and I just stepped out, not knowing if I would have my whole attic filled with
boxes of books.
with books the rest of my life,
Yeah.
and nobody would buy them. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Well, you've certainly been an inspiration to many of us. The book is Mama Dean's Southern Cooking at the Meador Homestead, and where life is still good, and that's true. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
and visiting us. Stop by again. I want to give a special thanks to Dean as well as Margot Bush, our co-host. We're out of time, but don't forget to get involved in your local community and be forgiving of others. Good night, everybody.
Real estate today offers incredible opportunities, low prices, and extremely low interest rates. Hi, I'm Amy Norris from Amy Sells the Beach. Right now, there are opportunities in all areas. Our team can help you put your money to work finding your dream or investment property. And if you're looking to sell, no one can give you better exposure to buyers and make your property stand out. Experience matters when looking for opportunity. I'm Amy Norris. See why we're #1 at amysellsthebeach.com.